This webinar really is going to be more of an overview of features that were released at the end of May, but maybe we're calling it our early June release. There's a lot that we have coming very soon within ProjectTeam that we're very excited about. This is kind of closing the loop on some of the company form information that we had. It's a step in a direction where we're heading, which is going to be project templates. So you'll be able to create information at maybe your template project, just simply clone that over to create new projects. You can have as many project templates as you want. So this last release is a step in that direction, with our next release coming, which is going to have more of that information. So in this webinar, I'm really going to go over a few things. First, there's been some updates to merging. There has been some clients asking for signatures in merge depending on the user that is logged in. So we now have an area that you can define a signature and then include that in your merge. And then I'll talk a little bit about the company fields that were included in this last release and some of the nuances between each one of those fields. So my name is Josh Whitmer. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the product manager here. I work very closely with our sales, services, and our development team. Really what we want to do as a whole from ProjectTeam is listen and talk to each one of the clients that we have. Many of you that are on the call know this. We're always putting in new features and kind of making sure that the things that we do are helping you and not just random what we think is right. So I'm going to spend about 5 minutes in the intro here just going over the basics. Then we're going to go over the new features. And then finally, we'll kind of open it up for questions and answers. So this webinar will hopefully be around 30 minutes, so not too long, just really an overview of some of the things that were just released. I did mention this is going to be recorded. We do have different social networks if you want kind of some updates on some things as we go along. Periodically, we post some just tips and tricks, photos, things like that from what's going on here. Overview of ProjectTeam. I'm going to kind of skip most of this. Most of the people on this call are users right now, so that's great. You know that ProjectTeam is very customizable, and that's kind of the point of this last release. Not only customizing within the project level, but also customizing at the company level and then applying that to projects to get a full and the point there is that you're not having to reset up things like your merge templates and your reports for every new project. And certainly there are cases where a project has a field or two that might be unique. So maybe you create a company report, you put that into your standard reports for your projects. You can use that on your projects, but you also might clone that at the project level, add 1 or 2 small adjustments to that report, but you didn't have to recreate it from scratch. And then this is the last slide I have. Of course, this is not a full overview of ProjectTeam, just kind of some examples of the new features. Let me jump right into the system here. I'm going to go back to the My page, and we're going to start, before I get into the company field information, I want to start with just some of the merge improvements, or just really the signature improvement that we've added. I do want to point out, in our help files, and I'm not sure how many of you use the help files right now, it's help.projectteam.com. We try to update this as much as we can. It's really based on user feedback. So if you're looking for something, you can't find it, you're trying to figure something out, send us an email. If you can't find it in our help, we'll make sure to update those pages. But there's a lot of really good information here, especially about merge. So we're going to talk a little bit about merge today. There's good information. But this page is also going to kind of overview some of the items that were just released. So on my page, the first thing that I want to review is that signature in the merge. So on this My page, we now, under the profile area, so I'll say edit my profile, we now have an ability to upload an e-signature. This is available for all users, okay, not just admins, all users here. And then this is going to be a tag that you can include in your merge outputs. There are many ways to get the signature field into your profile. One nice kind of easy way, if you know, of course you can draw it out, upload that as an image, but there are many online tools that you can use that will take your name, put it in some cursive font. You can customize what that font looks like and then upload that to the system. The best practice right now would be to include some white background on black text. That way it's very clear. But now that we have our signature in there, we can use that on merge. To get a new signature in there, all I have to do is say add new signature. I browse through my computer and upload whatever I need to. In the help files, and I'll just mention this quickly, in the help files, I do have a link here to a site called My Live Signature. If you don't already have a signature, this is pretty easy to do. You just put in your name, it'll create a signature for you. You can customize that thing, and then again, upload that to ProjectTeam to use that throughout the site. So that's what I've done here, and I've got this cursive signature. So I'll go ahead and save that. Now what I need to do, I'm going to put that into a merge, show you how to do that. So I'm going to jump right into a project, my webinar test project. I'm going to go into my merge templates here. In the last webinar I had about the company fields, we talked a lot about an inspection form. We created a brand new inspection. We had 2 variations on that. I think one for McDonald's, one for Starbucks. We created some different fields per the variation. Then we applied that to this webinar project. So I'm going to kind of build on top of that. So here I've got this June 2019 inspection merge template example. I have the one version in here, and it's actually this one right here. So it's a pretty simple merge template. Of course, if you've used ProjectTeam, you know that there's a lot that you can do with merge templates, you know, with the different fields, and then even you can use some what they're called Smarty Tags to manipulate your data a little bit. The next thing I want to do here is just put in some information about myself and then include my signature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to ProjectTeam. Or actually, I'm going to open these 2 up on the side-by-side screens here. I'm going to say I want to get my merge tags. In a previous release, we added the ability to not only take information from your document fields, but you could also take information from your company or your user fields or project fields. I'm going to go to my user fields for now, and I'm just going to take information here to build kind of like a little signature line. So I'm going to say, you know, let's say inspected by, maybe I want to include something there. I can take my first name and put it in there just by copying and pasting these merge tags. My last name, put it in there, and then I'll just include my job title maybe. I can make that bold if I want to. We can do, you know, put, you know, whatever we want to make sure that this looks pretty nice. Okay, so I got my information. Now I want to also include my signature. So inside the user fields from your merge tags, we do have this ability right here. There's a new signature field. It's got kind of a special tag here, and this is going to be because it is an image. I see it's the ProjectTeam user signature, and then I've got a pipe symbol, insert image 040. The 040 is going to be the size of your image. The 0 is going to say, I don't care about the length of the image or the width of the image. Just make sure that it's at least 40 pixels in height. Okay, so that 040 means that. You can adjust that. So if I put that in here, I've got this 40. If I wanted a very large image, I could say, you know, 080, or if I wanted to restrict the width of that, I could adjust this 0 right here. This is a Smarty Tag, S-M-A-R-T-Y, Smarty Tag. So you can look up information about Smarty Tags online to learn more about that, or I do have some help information in our help center to help you there. But this looks pretty good. So I have inspected by, I've got my signature, first name, last name, job title, and company. That's what I wanted. So I'm just going to save this. Okay, so save. And then I'm going to upload a new version of my merge. It's going to be this inspection webinar example. Open that. Now I've got a brand new version in my merge here. I'm going to go over to my inspection form. I'm just going to check out this field inspection number 1. Here I've got information, and then I can go up to print this, merge to template, do my June 2019 inspection example, and then merge that. When I do, it's going to pull the information over to the new Word document that I set up, the output is going to be in PDF. But you can see here, now I've got the information or my signature in there as I've kind of defined. Okay, so that is how easy it is to add your signature to your different merge templates. Of course, if you have any examples, questions at all about that, please let me know in the comments, and I can make sure that I answer those questions at the end of the demo. Okay. The next item that I want to go over is the, actually before I get into company fields, I am going to go back to the help site here. I mentioned the Smarty Tags. You can type in Smarty right here, and I do have a page of Smarty Tags for merge templates. In here, you can manipulate your dates, your numbers, pick list options, add if-else statements, all that kind of stuff within your merge templates. I do plan on having a merge, kind of a webinar training call, probably sometime by the end of the month. So I'll talk a lot more about that. It'll be more like that report training call that we did, I think last month. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the company fields and talk a little bit about the new fields that were added. So up in my username area, this is going to be restricted to admins only. So I'm going to say my company. Admins are going to have the ability on the left-hand side to manage things like company forms, company fields, or company reports. So I'm going to go to company forms here. The form that we were just talking about is inspections, so I'm going to go to inspections. And then I'm going to go to this McDonald's inspection. Okay. So what I'm looking at right now is a variation of one of my company forms. This variation is called my McDonald's inspections. On a variation, you can define your different custom fields. In the past, you could do sort of the basic fields within the company area, and then you'd have to add the more complex fields at the project level. But people very quickly, once we added company fields or forms, really needed the rest of the fields. So now we've added that. If I say new here, you'll see there is a full list of different options that you have, including pick lists, collections, auto number fields, etc. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 different fields. I'm going to add an auto number, I'm going to add a pick list, I'm going to add a collection, but you could add whatever you needed to. You can see there's a long range. So first one is going to be an auto number. So I'll just say auto number here and say next. And let's just say this is inspection number. Okay. I could add help text, starting number 1, number of digits, let's say 4 here. Do I want to use prefixes? I could, but I'm going to say no for now and just say next. At the company level, you do not define access. You define that at the project level. So I could just say save here. One of the other items that's kind of helpful is instead of saying save and then having to go back to click new and then starting your process over, we have added the ability to just say save and new, which is going to jump you right into adding a brand new field again. So I've added my auto number. The next one I'm going to add is my pick list. So I'll just say pick list here. I'll say next. Here I'm going to say maybe this is the priority of my items. I could have some help text, or I can add some pick list options. One of the nice things about the pick list options is not only can I start to type here, high, medium, and if I wanted to put low, I could put in there as well. I can also copy and paste, let's say, from Excel. Okay, so if you have different rows in your Excel spreadsheet, maybe you have 100 different items, you could copy and paste that right into this list. Or you can simply type here and it's going to do what we had before. So I can say low, even lower, maybe. Okay. So I'll just add those 2 and say add, and all of those options are going to be added to this list. For now, I'll just delete this. I'll say next. Again, I have one more field that I'm going to add, so I'm going to say save and new. Finally, the last company field that I'm going to add is a collection. So I'm going to go in here and say collection. If you have used ProjectTeam, you know that a collection is like a table-like view where I can manage different columns and rows within the system. So I'm going to say next here. This is just, let's say, information that I want to keep about my inspection. So let's say inspection areas, help text, include a row number. I'll say sure. And then let's start to add in my different columns. So in here, you also have the ability to add whatever you need, pick list. I didn't talk about account codes, but you can add account codes here. The account codes are going to pull from your project account codes. I'll talk about the specifics of each one of these fields once we actually check this out on the project form. So for now, I'm just going to say single line here. I'm going to say area name, say save and new. The next is going to be, let's say, area description. Save and new. And we can say pass or fail through a pick list, so we can see that we are using a pick list within this. Pass, fail. So our users will choose that option as they're filling this out. And then, let's say if it has been reviewed or not. So let's add a checkbox. So let's do the reviewed. Okay. So now I've added my new collection form. I'm just going to say next. It's going to say you define everything at the project level. And since I don't have any new fields that I want to add, I'll just say save. Now I've got my McDonald's inspection variation. I have all of these different fields included in that. My area, inspection areas, priority, and inspection number. And now I can apply this at my project level. So let me do that. So I'm going to go to the webinar sample project. What I was thinking there is, do I want to create a company form at this point? But I'll show you what it looks like on the project, and then we'll actually create a report. So in here, I see my inspections. If I check out that inspection number 1 right now, I can see I have notes, items for review, but then I have no other fields. So those fields that I just set up at the company level have not been applied to my project yet. That's okay, we'll apply them now. Okay, again, this would be done by the administrator. It doesn't need to be done by every user that's using the system. I'll go into customize. Underneath of this, you have this option in this more dropdown, the ... or ellipses dropdown, to apply a new variation. I'm just going to say apply. It's going to show you all the different variations that you've set up at the company level. The one that we just changed was the McDonald's inspection. So I'll go ahead and say McDonald's inspection and apply that. Once I do that, if I scroll down, I see those brand new fields, inspection number, priority, and inspection areas applied to my new project. If I open up to view these columns, I can see all of those different columns shown there. Another way to add fields, if I didn't want to have to apply the entire variation together, is if I just said new here, you do have the option to include individual company fields. So as you set up your different variations for your company forms, you can apply those to your projects, or if you're not sure you want to apply an entire variation, you can just add the company fields one by one. So I'll cancel that. Go back to my form log. Go to my inspection here. If I scroll down, I now see these 3 new fields. If I actually edit this, I can say get next. It's going to give me my number 1. It does show as just a number right now, but it will give me my padded zeros as I defined once I save this thing. Priority is going to be high, medium, low. So I'll just say medium. And then my inspection areas, I can add whatever I want. So let's say north. Let's say that passed and it's not reviewed. South failed and it is reviewed. Okay. So we've added the collection and defined that at the project level. And now if I save that, that thing shows up. All of this information can be included in your merge document. I think there has in the help files, and there's been previous videos about how to create those merge templates to add to your merge document. So that it's all pretty easy. It's just copying and pasting those tags. Since they are company fields, that merge template that's using those fields can be applied to multiple projects as well. So you don't have to recreate that and re-tag all of those different fields per project. You would just use the same information because all of the field IDs at the company level are going to be consistent across all of your different projects. A couple notes about the different fields. So the auto number field, that is going to be unique per project. So it's not going to continue if I have 3 different projects and I add the company auto number field to all 3 projects. on project 1, if I say get next and it turns it to a 1, and then I say get next, it turns it to a 2. If I go to the second project and say get next, it will be a 1 on that second project. It won't be a 3. Okay, so each project is going to be treated uniquely. We do not right now have a field that's going to carry through all of the different projects. Okay, so each project is unique. The pick list options are all going to be newly defined pick lists. Right now, there is on the project level to create project option sets or pick list option sets. Right, we don't have a company option set at the moment, so each new pick list created at the company level will be a unique set of options, and then the collections are going to take whatever fields that you give them. Also, the account codes. Account codes is one that I didn't add here. You can, at the project level, each project is going to have its own unique set of account codes and some subset of account codes that you might have set up. If you add an account code at the company level, it's just going to pull the account codes that you have set up at the project level. Okay, so that's all going to work. The last thing that I want to do on this webinar is just create a very simple report using the fields that we've created at the company level. We'll create that report at the company level, and then we'll look at the project and run that thing. Okay, so again, it's a way for administrators to create standards within the company, and then on your different projects, you can run those setup reports. Let me go here. So let me go into the company. So I'm going to say company. I'm going to go to my company reports area. It's going to load up my company reports. I have 2 default folders, unpublished and published standard reports. I'm going to, so the point of these is, as I'm working on a report, there might be some changes. I'm not really sure what I'm doing yet. I want to put this thing together. I'm going to have to run it a couple times to make sure it's right. You put that in the unpublished folder. That way, no projects can get that report yet. Once the report is all ready to go, we'll go ahead and put that in the standard or the published reports. We can just move that over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new report, so advanced report. This is going to be called my June inspection, June webinar inspection report. I'm going to put it in the unpublished standard reports, and then I'm going to add my categories. In here, it's going to ask you for what data do you want to pull into your report. All the report, the whole report functionality within ProjectTeam comes just with the product. There's no extra downloads or fees to use the reporting tool. So in here, it's going to automatically take what I want in it. And it is, as you've seen, you can customize ProjectTeam any way that you want. All of the reporting, all of the merge is going to work with those customizations, just like it would if it came out of the box. So even though we've added some company field some company custom fields here, now we can create some really nice reports off of it. So I'm going to take my categories and say I want inspections, and then areas, inspection areas into my report. My sorts here, I'm just going to say, what do I want this report to sort by? Maybe I'll just say, the subject of that. I could add as many sorts as I want. The filters, if I want to filter this report, but I don't want to do that right now. And then there's a way to create the layout. In the last training webinar, I went pretty deep into creating reports in ProjectTeam. So if you're not familiar with that process, I would recommend you go and check that out. I can send that link out as well if you request it. But for now, I like to just skip this layout area and say finish. What I just did is I stepped through the basics or the report wizard. Now I can kind of finish editing my report. I see a page header, a detail. I'm going to kind of quickly go through this and create a very simple report. And the point of me doing that is to show you that you can do that at the company level and then use it on your project. So in the detail, I'm actually going to add a section and say group header. I'm just going to group by my inspections. On the left-hand side, it's giving me all the different fields and options I have to fill out my report. I'm just going to take my subject and put it in there. I can make that thing grow to a couple columns worth. I can say it's going to be bold. I can also put my inspection number in there, let's say. And I will make this bold as well. Okay, so this is going to be, I'm going to group by my subject and inspection number and then have the other information underneath it. I could add some different shades of color here. So let me just give this dark green and say this is going to be white background or white text. Okay, I've got that in there. What I want to group is going to be this inspection area information. So I'm going to say row number, let's say area name, description, pass fail, and reviewed. Okay, so now I have this very, very simple report, but I was able to create that thing in seconds. You can customize this however you need to. And I'm just going to say I want to save that report. If I were to run that report, it's going to give me the option to run on my different projects as long as the categories exist on those projects. Okay, so that's important. If you're wondering, because if I look up at the top left right now, I have a demo sample project, testing project, and then this other sample project. So I have access to more than one project. But in my parameters here of running this report, if I open this thing up, I see that I only have one project listed. That's because it's only eligible where those categories are defined. And my categories, if you remember, are inspections and then the areas of inspection. And I've only added that information to that one project. If I were to have added that to multiple projects, I could run this report, or I could add this report to those multiple projects. So I'm just going to say this webinar sample project and say OK, and just see if I'm getting pretty good data. And this looks, very simple, but it looks correct. I've got that field inspection number 1. I've got 2 areas of my inspection, the north and the south. And then I've got those other inspections that don't have any areas in there because I didn't edit that information. Okay, so at least I've created my company field, I've added my company report, and now that it looks good, I'm just going to drag and drop the report into my published folder, and then we'll go over to the project and run that same report. So on the left-hand side, I've got this Browse Reports option. I can look for my unpublished standard reports. I've got this June webinar inspection. I'm just going to grab it and pull it down, okay, and put it right into this Published Reports area. It's in design mode, so I can't. I'm going to pull that down to the Published Reports area. Now in my Published Reports, if I open that thing up, I do see that June webinar inspection in there. That means that it's eligible on my project. So I'm going to go back to my projects, my webinar sample project, my reports area, my company access reports, my standard reports, and now I see that June webinar inspection in my standard reports for my company. It is locked, so no users except for the admin at the company level can edit that information. And if I run this thing, I'll get that same output that I had from the company level. Okay, so that is about the 30-minute mark. As I mentioned, this was a pretty quick overview of the features released. A sneak peek kind of the features that we are going to release in our next, I think maybe next month, is going to be some really exciting features and things that people have been asking about, and I think we can take it a step further than a lot of other applications. I already mentioned this company field and company form creation is a step in the direction of creating project templates. That's going to allow you to create and manage projects a lot faster. You have a lot less setup if you can manage templates and then just clone, add users, and then kind of get going, especially with all the customization that you have available to you within ProjectTeam. And the second is file markup. So you'll be able to pull in, let's say, PDFs, pull that into a viewer, add your annotations to that, and then get going. So if you're looking at drawings or anything really that's in a PDF view, you can annotate that. We are also adding the ability to add other file types such as photos, Office documents, and then eventually BIM models that you'll be able to do some simple markups on as well. So there's some really exciting things coming very soon within ProjectTeam. Will be included in our next release that I think will be a very fun and exciting webinar to be. So, okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. If you want to send me an email after the webinar, you certainly can. I'm happy to answer questions. Also, if you want to check out our help site, if you haven't already, there's a lot of good material there. And then obviously you have your support managers working with you if you have any questions. But other than that, thank you for joining, and I look forward to the next call.